Hello everybody and welcome back to another video in the Deep Thoughts series. And today we're talking about the next episode of One Punch Man Season 2, which has been sort of on the upkeep, uptake lately. People have been changing their tune about One Punch Man, myself included. I was pretty worried about it going in, but we're on, episode 4 now, and it's been pretty friggin' solid. Let's not waste too much time just sort of talking about what's happened in the past, though. Let's go ahead and talk about this week's episode of One Punch Man Season 2. In particular, let's go ahead and start with the main man himself, no, not Saitama, Garo, because Garo's point of view is genuinely pretty interesting. I can remember being a kid and watching stuff like Power Rangers, and sort of doing what Garo was doing, sort of sympathizing with the monster, almost wanting the monster to win, because sometimes the monster is just cooler than the heroes are. I could definitely understand where Garo was coming from, like cheering for, I don't remember the name of the monster, instead of Justice Man. Every time I hear the word Justice, I can't think of anything else other than Chief Over Justice. But yeah, I can sort of see Garo's point of view a little bit more clearly now, and it's just interesting how one can take a character who should be one-dimensional, like the whole point of this character is I want to be a big bad monster, and make that character sympathetic and interesting. Between the backstory with the kid, or the backstory of Garo as a kid, plus Garo hanging out with the kid with the book, you sort of get this inclination that he's not a bad person necessarily. It's more just that he sympathizes and understands why the monsters do what they do. And I think that's pretty interesting, especially for a series that's usually as cartoony and goofy as One Punch Man is. It's not like something like Mob, where with Mob you kind of get the idea that one is trying to impart some life lessons. With One Punch Man, it's usually more about comedy and action. Whereas with Garo, there is sort of this interesting dynamic where they're playing with character in a really interesting way for a series about superheroes with goofy ass names. That said though, as much as I love Garo, and I do, I'm really worried about King. I'm really worried he's gonna hurt my otaku boy, and I don't know. I don't want that to happen. King is a character who really grew on me quite a bit, so I really don't want him to get hurt, because he really is just a dude. But I do think that King will actually get stronger. I only read up until the King arc in the manga, and I've been anime only for the last couple episodes, last 3 episodes. So I can't say for sure, but I got the inclination that King would eventually one day get stronger, since that's what Saitama tells him to do. Maybe you should just get stronger. So maybe King will start training, but I'm not really anticipating him to do that before Garo finds him, which does have me a little bit worried, because if Garo finds King, then he's just gonna kill him, because King's just a dude, and Garo's been able to not kill the heroes, but only because the heroes are pretty strong, whereas King ain't that strong. King just wants to go back home and play his friggin' dating sim games, so I'm concerned for my boy. Who I am not concerned for, though, is Metal Bat. Maybe a little concerned, considering he's really not having a very good day, because the poor dude starts trying to take care of rich people, and I would be annoyed too. As a kind of middle-class dude, when I see rich people at the buffet, I kind of get annoyed, just like Metal Bat was getting annoyed, because I don't know. But you can tell Metal Bat's not enjoying his time. And his poor sister, he made his sister cry. What the hell? I don't know. Metal Bat is a character who I wasn't too, I shouldn't say it, of the S-Class heroes we meet during the whole Boros invasion thing, Metal Bat was the one I was sort of least interested in, whereas here I'm genuinely man, I hope Metal Bat gets to go back home and go shopping with his sister, because, he made the poor girl cry. I'm genuinely kind of hoping he turns out okay. I definitely get that they're going for the whole sort of Yankee, delinquent kind of character with Metal Bat, and you can tell, because you got the pompadour, he's got the bat, he's got the school jacket. You can tell what they're going for with him, but I think he's actually kind of fun. I like the idea of the sort of Yankee type who actually wants justice and wants to protect justice. I don't know. I can't say justice without saying justice. That's anime. I blame anime and video games and mostly Studio Trigger. But Metal Bat really goes through some hell in this episode. Not only does he got to put up with some annoying escort mission, essentially, he's got to go up against some pretty gross bug monsters. I can deal with some bugs. Some bugs I can deal with, but there's some that I just really can't. And the centipede monsters would certainly be one of them. I'm actually getting squeamish just talking about it. Like, I know they're animated and I know that they're like not real, but if I need to tell you guys, if I saw bugs that big, I would poop my pants, cry, and then die. Possibly not in that order. But speaking of the bugs, though, I do want to point out something. The fight scene between Metal Bat and the big bug monsters and that weird plant-based monster was genuinely pretty friggin' awesome. And I'm JC Staff. I don't want to jump the gun here and or rather I don't want to bury the lead. You're getting a gold star this week because holy cow, comedy was on point, music's on point, acting's on point, and finally, I thought, in my opinion, because I'm sure some people are gonna feel differently, I thought the action was pretty on point this episode because when in doubt, use some CG, but hopefully make it good. And the CG, in my opinion, was pretty dope. I know that anime fans are very sort of like torn on the idea of CG. They find it very hit or miss. I guess they never miss, huh? But here, I thought it was done pretty well. It never, like, I can tell that it's CG. Like, you can definitely tell that there's a difference between the centipede monster and Metal Bat. However, it's to a point where if I'm looking at it, I didn't really realize it was CG until maybe like the first couple of swings on Metal Bat. It took me a second to realize that it was CG. Once you know, it's obvious. Like once you connect that, you're like, oh, it's CG, then you notice it the rest of the episode. But it's not jarring and never took me out. Like at no point did I think like, oof, that looks bad. It was constantly at a good clip. It looked awesome, and it enabled them to have that sort of like consistent character movement that I felt was missing from previous episodes. So even if it's CG, I'll take it because it feels more like One Punch Man again. And JC Staff, I want to stress too, like you can be mad at JC Staff, that's fine. I'm not saying that you can't. But I do feel like most of us realize that they got dealt a pretty bad hand, and they're just trying to do the best that they can. And I feel like they succeed here. I was genuinely pretty impressed with the animation and the action here. I get some people don't like CG. I get that some people might even say that it was bad CG. To me, I thought it was pretty solid. But poor Metal Bat does not get off that easy. No, not only does he have to put up with rich people, centipedes, and giant centipedes. No. This whole episode ends with Metal Bat getting into a fight with Garo himself, because Garo has a hard-on for superheroes. I shouldn't say that as much as he's got a hard-on for monsters and wants to beat up the superheroes so he can keep said hard-on. This analogy got really gross, and I apologize for that, but I do want to stress that Metal Bat had the appropriate reaction when Garo's just like, oh, you're a hero, and I get another S-class hero, well, I'm gonna hunt you. And Metal Bat's like, are you out of your friggin' mind? Do you not see the giant centipede monster? It looks like Shenron if he was a giant bug. Like, you need to get the hell out of here. And I don't know. That shot was awesome. Just like where he lunges at him and Metal Bat blocks it with the bat. But you can see like the heat from Garo's like hit on the bat. Like it actually like makes it heat up for a second. That was friggin' dope. I thought that was a nice touch. And then having that moment of like, okay, I know who you are. You're Garo, the big hero hunter. And I feel like Garo and Stain might get along, maybe. Probably not. I feel like Stain would actually be like, what is this? But I would love to see that fight. If anybody's got fan art of Stain versus Garo, please send it in. I would love to see that. But enough about the cool action, because I want to talk about some of the more funny, goofy stuff, and that being Saitama as Charanko and talking with that old student of Bang. That was pretty funny. I just like the idea of like, wait, it's like, you know something about an imposter, and then like, oh, and then safe. I don't know, that killed me. Saitama's voice actor, I actually used to prefer the dub for Saitama's voice actor. I thought the dub played up the whole like bored angle of Saitama's character a little bit better. But I'm really starting to prefer the Seiyu. I think he really sells Saitama in a more is, I shouldn't say lighthearted, but like in a more earnest way. Like with the dub, I always got that he was bored, but I never really got his passion for, like, what his old passion for being a hero. They really play up his more bored angle. Whereas in the Japanese version, I feel like the Seiyu's trying to kind of play up like, yeah, Saitama's bored, but he still cares about being a hero. He has a passion for heroism. So I don't know. I'm starting to prefer the sub, which I don't know why I went on that tangent. I meant to talk about how goofy that scene was, and instead I got here. This is Welcome to Deep Thoughts. But while the Saitama meeting up with Bang's former student was funny, the funniest bit was Chiranko talking with Moomin Rider for me, just because Moomin Rider is far and away like my husbando of the show. I just love this dude and his like the perpetual optimism and his belief in Saitama. Like, no, Saitama wouldn't do that, and even if he did, it'd be fine. He'll win because he's a hero. And it's like, oh my god, Moomin Rider, you're so sweet. You're so sweet, too precious for this world. However, that's gonna wrap up today's episode of Deep Thoughts, One Punch Man, episode 4. JC staff. Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of this anime studio. I saw somebody make some offhanded remark the other day, like, I can't remember who it was. Darn. I knew they were joking, but they were like, oh, good for this studio who's been making anime for years now. And I'm like, dude, come on. They're overworked. They're overworked, and the anime industry as a whole is understaffed. Like, I'm going to give them kudos where they deserve it. They didn't want this project. It was thrust upon them, the weight of the legacy of this show, and I actually thought this episode was dope. And I will give them their kudos. JC staff, you did good. But everybody, that's going to wrap up today's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, in particular, Omner Garamond, Veridin, Tristan, No For Nothing, Dominic, Evil, Urza, Caden Fate, Gabriel, Sipco Games, and Opinionated Slime. If you too would like to join the good folks over on Patreon, whether that be the Orange Pico tier or the Earl Grey tier, yes, it's all about tea, folks, go ahead and check us out over on our Patreon, link in the description. And until our next meeting, stay rad and don't scary.